Evening to one and all. On behalf of Team Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I welcome our speaker, Ms. Aradhana Rana, and everyone present here for fourth Wiki Wisdom. The topic for today's session is balancing profession, family, and self aspirations for women. It's a great pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Ms. Aradhana Rana ma'am is a gold medalist from Delhi University and a postgraduate in nutrition with a bachelor's degree in education. With 40 years of teaching and administrative experience behind her, she started the Icon Public School at Ahmednagar, which is now a senior secondary CBSE school of repute. Besides being the founder principal of the school, she is a trainer for soft skills and personality development. She is a motivational speaker, a life skills coach, a parenting coach. She is a member of Wiki and a resource person for CBSE. She is a published author of several books on communication skills and spoken English and recipient of many awards and honors in the field of education and social welfare. She is also an ardent traveler and a travel blogger. But above all, she is an educator with a mission to bring in innovation in education, to make it effective and realistic, and believes in a system that will keep up with progressive thought and lead the new generation towards developing life skills. She believes in the maxim life is not counted in the years you spend on this earth, but in the number of lives you touch in a lifetime. I request Aradhana ma'am to take over the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jyotsna. Thank you for a wonderful introduction. And I'm very, very happy, speaking on this forum. Even if there are not too many live people listening to it, I know all Wiki members, eventually listen to the recordings. And you know what, this forum, which has given us a platform to interact with one another and grow together. I'm really thankful to Seema and Rachna for taking on this initiative. And I hope we'll have many, many more interesting sessions. So this is the fourth session of Wiki that I'll be speaking on. And this topic that I have chosen to speak on is, I think it resonates with a lot of us and we can all identify with it. So, first of all, I am a little bothered about the topics we speak on because, this was actually supposed to be on Women's Day, but it doesn't have to do anything about, the Women's Day as such. But even on Women's Day, when I said, why are we speaking on all these topics in the 21st century? The need to speak on these topics, I think, makes them more pertinent to be discussed. Now, before, are there any male forums which speak on these topics? After all, the men also, they have work life, they have family life, and they have self-aspirations. But we somehow never hear the men discussing it, men, feeling the need to discuss it. So that is why I strongly feel about this particular topic. Now, before we start, let's go on to the history of it. Now, when, in early years, the roles of men and women were very demarcated. When any civilization you take, the man was the provider, the woman was the homemaker. So all very good. I mean, I don't know who eventually did it, whether we can say God did it or society did it, but I think the roles are wonderfully demarcated. Two sets of things were given to two sexes. Now, where did the need come for the women to overstep into the man's land? And why was there no need for the man to overstep into the woman's land? Now, this need for the woman to overstep into the man's territory, if we analyze that, we will find a lot of reason for discussing these topics. Now, first of all, as society progressed, the women were at an economic disadvantage. Basically, it was economics. Housework or homemakers' work was not paid work. So there was no economics attached to it. So as society grew, the man started having the upper hand because he controlled the economics of the household. Also, as we progressed further and people grew wealthier, the housework was outsourced to other people, but the people they were outsourced to, the remuneration for the housework was so little that the status of a homemaker or housework really, went to the lowest possible level. So we reached a stage where anybody could get this housework done for a pittance. So as a result, the status became very low. So, as we progress, even now you hear people people asking, "Oh, you're a housewife." I mean, with contempt. And then what do you do? If you're a homemaker, you looked at, oh, I mean, you're not an earning member. So much so that it's very worrying. But this new generation, the children do not respect the mothers who are housewives because they feel she's not getting in the money into the housewife. So basically, it was economics that drove a woman to step out. And then as freedom came to her, freedom of choice came to her, and she started getting an identity of her own, that, made her feel that, oh, I mean, actually, I am not economically, I don't have to be dependent on the man. I am no less. So these, suddenly that awakening came into her and all was going well. But then now what happened? The woman started, getting these dual roles. She could not shed off her role as a homemaker and she took on the role as a provider. So with these two roles, coming, it was very good as long as it was a choice. And, she was doing it because she loved the identity, she loved the freedom. But gradually, men started getting used to the economics now double economy coming in. So when this double income started, then women needed to go out to work for the need of the house. Now it wasn't a choice anymore because the standards of living rose, children's demands increase, household demands increase, so you needed two incomes. So now when she started going out to fulfill that need, now what happened? Now she was still doing a household work, she was still responsible for whatever she was responsible for. And now plus, plus, and plus. And this is where this whole thing came about of juggling, balancing. This is where we felt the need, oh, we must juggle, we must balance. And then if we couldn't, it made us feel guilty. There was a lot of anxiety. We never thought that, well, I mean, my contribution to the household is as much as man's. The men did not change. Now, because men did not change, women did not, even think of asking the men to change. So as a result, these kind of controversies came up. Now, before we go into it, let me ask, a lot of women members out here. I think Ravi seems to be the only male member, or maybe another one. But so many women here. Now, let me ask you a few questions. Now, suppose you had to go on an outstation trip regarding your job. What would you do? Would you feel guilty because your children had to be looked after, your in-laws have to be looked after, your husband had to be given a stipend? So all those little things also, women generally refuse outstation jobs for these reasons. Now, think about it yourself. Answer these questions to yourself. Did you feel that pang of guilt when you left your family to go for an outstation job? Now, even better. If you had to, go to work and your child was ill, sick, who took leave? If you couldn't take leave, did you feel guilty? That is the second one. Now the PTM of children, the husband will never take leave. He will not, forego his office. The PTM has to be BC since I run a school. The PTM is attended by 90% women because husbands are busy. If you're a housewife, well and good, you have the time. But even working mothers, they'll take leave and they'll come for the PTM. And more so, if your mother-in-law is sick. Now, mother-in-law is the husband's mother. Yet, who takes leave? The daughter-in-law takes leave. Daughter-in-law is worried, should I go to office? Should I not? What should I do? So this kind of guilt feeling is on the woman again. How many of you have given up hobbies after you've got married, after you have children, then you go on to work? There are many of us who could have turned out to be great singers, not just professionals, as just joyful singers, dancers, and so many other hobbies. But we never find the time for it. I'll tell you personally also, so many years I kept putting off my hobbies. Retired honge na, then I will. So I learned music. And at an age when I retired, I did want to dance. Now it was too late because society felt, oh, at 60 you want to dance. So, all your life, when you look back, there are many, many regrets. These regrets, are they there for the men? Very few. So that is why, somewhere we have to learn how to balance our lives. And if we can't balance our lives, we should stop feeling guilty about the fact that we are not able to. Now, I'll just share screen and then we'll talk about it some more. Now, this is, my perfect world. For a woman, I arise in the morning torn between the desire to improve the world and a desire to enjoy the world. So this is most of us. We want to enjoy the world, but there's a desire to improve the world which overpass other desires. So is there a perfect world? There is no perfect world. We have to do all these things simultaneously. So what do? We prioritize. We put our priorities and decide what we can fit into those 24 hours, which means we have to leave out some things. 24 hours are the same. And make place for the sand in our lives. Now, what does this mean? For this,
it's called rocks, pebbles, and sand. This is the jar of life. This is about priorities in life. The professor has 3 boxes, one full of sand, another full of pebbles, and the third one has big stones. He fills this jar of life with sand. Then he puts in the pebbles and he asks the audience, is there some space left in the jar? So they said yes. So then he fills up the jar with big stones. As he fills them up, you realize the jar is fast filling up. But there's still some stones left in the box. There's no place for these stones. So he moves to the second experiment. Here, he puts the big stones in the jar first. Mind you, all 3 boxes have the same amount of sand, pebbles, and the same number of stones. The size of the jar remains the same. Now first, when he's put in the rocks, then he puts in the pebbles and asks the audience, is there any space left? They say yes. And then he pours in the sand. Now you notice, as he pours in the sand makes its own place and the jar is nearly full. It's not yet full. In the first instance, it filled up before he could place all the stones. Now it's all full. Now this was the story of rocks, pebbles, and sand. I'm sure you got the drift. Recognize the rocks and put them in first. The pebbles will find their place and the sand will make its own space. This is a life lesson we learn from this video.
so you see, what has happened is the most important are the rocks. The little less important are the pebbles. And as you guessed, the trivia is the sand. But what I said is make place for the sand. Most of us, the sand for us is not only time wasting activity. We tend to, make activities in our life which we are fond of as time wasting activities. It's something like a craft I like to do, something like music, something like singing, something like dancing. something like enjoying myself, something like just having coffee with friends. We make ourselves feel that that is the sand in our lives. So though this video shows that, put them last, I don't say put them first, but you have to make place for this sand in your life to make your life as a woman complete. Otherwise, there are a lot of regrets in life, as you go along, because this sand gave you pleasure. The rocks were what you had to do. The pebbles were what you should do. And the sand is the pleasurable activities. So to make place for the sand, you have to prioritize whatever you are doing in your life. Now, how do you prioritize and how do you balance? First of all, you have to identify your own values. Now, identifying values is another problem. Most of us are so conditioned into thinking that what is expected out of me is my value. I might find, maintaining relationships, maintaining friendships, much more of a value than probably having a career. But I'm expected to place my family first, my career second, and my friends last. So I'm so conditioned that when I list down my priorities, my friendships always come last. So identify your values, what you hold dear. And there is no need to feel guilty about things that you hold dear. Every person, every human being's got a right to choice. So that's very important, that you do not think that what you expected to do is what you want to do. There's a difference between what you want to do and what you are expected to do. Now, also home. As far, we've been so conditioned into thinking that a woman who says home is not my first priority doesn't deserve to be a woman. But is home your sole priority? Are you willing to make it your sole priority? If you have stepped out and you've taken on the onus of being a provider in the family, shouldn't it be true that the partner takes on responsibility to be a bit of homemaker? Why is it that, we always, there's a statement like, my husband allows me to work, so I'm very lucky. This feeling of allowing is itself bondage. So these kind of thoughts, unless we are clear in our mind, we would not be balancing, we would be compromising. Now, compromise is not bad. Compromise is not a bad word, because life is compromise. You cannot do anything as you please. But if you're compromising because of certain misplaced values, that is where the rethinking ought to occur. Also, do not negotiate on me time. There is something called me time, which I think most women have forgotten. Because again, a lot of guilt associated with that. If a woman is not happy inside, if a woman is not satisfied inside, how is she going to spread that happiness? So the me time for yourself is a non-negotiable factor. Whenever you make that negotiable, the me time is never there. Once it's never there, you get so embroiled in your day-to-day activities, work, that when you sit back and you think about your life, there are many things you could have done differently. Then most of us don't know how to say no. Why? Because we want to be the perfect everything. I want to be a perfect wife. I want to be a perfect mother. I want to be a perfect friend. I want to be a perfect professional. I do not want anybody to cast aspersions on my dedication, because I have chosen to step out of my traditional role and step into a role which I felt would give me satisfaction. But who decided the traditional role? I did not. If I did not decide to take on the traditional role, what's wrong in my doing what I want to do? So we don't say no. Learning to say no, I think, is the best way of relieving stress, relieving anxiety. Then we must learn to live in an imperfect world. The world is not perfect. Nobody's world is perfect. The whole, utopian thought of having a perfect world is what we aspire for. Since it's not perfect, we have to decide which are the imperfections which will not affect me too much, which I can adjust to. So, which means that we have to sort of manage not only our priorities, but our time. Now, time is something which is like a gas. Now, if you have gas in a container, it will take up that space. If you have gas in a room, it will take up that space. So it takes on all the space that is offered. So I was appreciating Seema, Rachna, and of course, many more of you, since I see their work very often. They're packing in the same 24 hours that all of us have. It's just that they have made better use of time. So this is where we learn from each other, maybe learn from many people. And well, I always give this example. If the Prime Minister can run a country in the same 24 hours, why can't I run a home and office? So these time management is something all of us have to consciously learn. And how to manage time. How to manage time is to multitask. Women are natural multitaskers. Even if you're not a professional woman, even if you're not a greatly inspirational woman, a mother multitasks all the time. She's cooking and she's looking after the child, and the child is crawling somewhere. She's holding on to the child and getting the homework done. So naturally, women are multitaskers. So this multitasking has just got to be more organized with our profession, with our work life, and with our self-aspirations. So multitasking, like normally people say, don't carry your work home and don't carry your home to work. I say carry both. You carry your home to work and carry your work home. Because if you're going to make such deep partitions in your work life and your home life, you're going to reach nowhere. I mean, what is wrong if you go to office and you have to monitor a childcare person, at home? There's nothing wrong with it. If you carry your files home, be with your family and do your work. There's nothing wrong in that. So unless there is some activity in which you need total concentration, why would you not carry both into each other's space so that you can be more effective? So time management is a technique which you have to, I think, just practice more and more and get better at it. Also, do not become a dustbin that everybody throws whatever they need to be done at you. Mama, okay, just iron out my clothes. Mama, make the food. You're just piling up everybody's problems into you. So whenever that happens, think of yourself as a dustbin. Are you a dustbin? Are you going to let people just pile up everything on you? So balancing is about teaching people around you to become self-sufficient. You cannot do everything yourself. So empowering your family, your friends, your colleagues to look after themselves and do things for themselves is also a part of balancing your work. Do not always be available. People take you for granted that you always be there. Anything that happens, oh, she's there. Set your time limits. Okay, available from this time to this time. After that, not. So switch off not only your phones, switch off yourself. If you are in that space of having the me time, non-negotiable, not available. The world still runs in spite of us. There are many great people who have been born and gone, and the world's still running. Nobody is indispensable. The biggest mistake I think we make is thinking that we are indispensable. My household cannot do without me. My husband cannot do without me. My children cannot do without me. The workplace cannot do without me. Not at all. If you are no more, things will carry on. So why would you, reach a stage where you are at the end of your tether, being a perfect person? And the leisure time either has to be built into your system, or if you if you've done a job well, you deserve a holiday. Why won't you go for a holiday? Why would you feel guilty going for a holiday? So leisure time, either it should be scheduled within your space, or if you cannot schedule it within your space, then it has to be, certain time has to be left for it. And never stop being a child, because this is what all of us do to ourselves. We forget being a child because we take on so many responsibilities that we don't just age like we should. We age beyond our years because we expect it to be perfect. Another very important thing is always be positive. And I'm sure it's more difficult than what it's very easy to say it, very difficult to do it. But positivity is a state of mind. Once you have it clear in your mind that things will work without me, things are all fine, all your thoughts will become positive. You will not think of the negative aspects. And finally, your world would be a happier place. Another thing that most of us don't do is we don't ask for help. We just feel we should all do it ourselves. We always shy away from asking for help. There is nothing wrong in asking for help. I mean, for little things like technology, we ask for help. But in the house, what is my responsibility? I don't want to. We don't tell our children to help us. We don't tell our in-laws to help us. We don't tell our husbands to help us. Because all the time, we want to seem as if, we are the best, we can do everything. And very important these days is to use technology. A lot of women, I think, they shy away from using technology. Technology makes you more efficient. It makes you a smart worker. So even if you're in office, you're monitoring your home through your camera. What's wrong? You don't have to be at each and every place. You're monitoring your maid through the camera or through a phone call. Similarly, if you're tech savvy, you could probably, help your children more. But most of all, never stop growing. And that is why I find these sessions also so very good. Because you see, all of you are sitting here today. I know all of you, it's evening time. You would probably have a lot of work to do at home. But that urge to learn something, to talk, to interact with people has made you take out this little time, half an hour, 45 minutes out of your busy schedule. You've given it that importance because of that urge to grow. When we stop growing is when we stop living. So that urge to grow should never die down in life. So now tell me, I would like to hear about your experiences, because I didn't make it very long, because otherwise it's very boring and all of us are women. And I would like you to raise your hand so that you can be unmuted. And one by one, tell us about the challenges you have faced and gotten over them, because others will learn a lot from them. So let's share some personal experiences. Yes, Christine. Yes, please unmute. Do I have to unmute you? Okay.
Yeah, I have unmuted. Initially, when I left my job and I took out being a housewife, and then I started off later on to start my business. So I felt, I had a small kid. So I thought that, I was indispensable. And I had to, the older women's roles had to be done by me. And I thought that everything has to be done and it has to be a perfect. But slowly, gradually, that perfection made me sad. And when I was sad, everybody in the family was sad, my kid and everybody. So I gradually dropped that out and I dropped the myth of perfection. Luckily, I did it early, though I was criticized by my own mother. I'll say I was criticized by my own mother, because whenever I would come home and she would be like, I would give up all this for you all. So, but with me, I said, but you were never happy giving up, because you used to always tell us your sacrificing stories. So I said, let me achieve it and let me have my daughter as a part of my achievement. I am blessed to get such a supportive husband who helped me to achieve and actually, delegate work in the house, like things like cooking, and not only all, some days he told me you can cook on days where you feel that you want to give food to your family and nourish them with your tasty food. Those days you cook. It's okay to not cook one day or order from the hotel. And that was something that I'm sure that happened because of my husband's support. Because the luggage that I was carrying on was, I have to be perfect with the household chores, and I have to carry on that plus manage my working life, because my mother had done that. So this was
Christine,
something that I was.
Christine, I would like to add one thing. You know, you said you're lucky to have your husband. I'm sure your husband is as lucky to have you. You see, just like he shares housework with you, you share his responsibility of being a provider. So you see, all of us, we hear these statements very often, you know, I'm very lucky my husband helps me to cook. Well, my husband's very lucky also because I help him to earn. So this kind of pride in, you know, we've been conditioned to thinking it's our job. And that is why we feel obliged. The fact that we feel obliged for somebody's help, you know, that is not acceptable to me. You know, it's love. It's both of you are doing it, and you are doing his job. He is doing your job. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. But that obligation is not there. So very good.
Actually, it was not intensely. It just came out because the way your mother brings you up with those set of
Exactly.
rules and everything, you tend to think, you know, that is the Bible for you. And then
Exactly.
finally, when you are juggling with your work and everything, you think, you feel guilty. Honestly, initially, I felt very guilty.
That is
So
conditioning. That's what
now
we
it's
talked
become
about. That
easy.
conditioning.
Yeah, it's become much easy, and I'm more happy. And because of that, my family is happy.
Anybody else would like to share? Please unmute. Yeah, please, Jyotsna. Yes, Jyotsna.
Yeah, actually, when I got an assignment for Japan as an academic consultant, I was very much hesitant to accept that assignment because I had to leave my children here along with my husband, and my daughter was in 12th standard. She had to appear for NEET and all. So I was very much hesitant, but my husband supported me. He assured me that he will take care. And actually, I don't know, it was bad luck or what, I don't know, but my husband was also posted to some other place at the same time for some other project. And really, I'm very, very much proud of my kids. They could handle alone at home, but we had video callings and all. But somewhere there was little guilt for me because I thought my husband would be taking care, and I just left and everything here, and I just left alone there. It was really a tough time for me to accept all those things, but my kids were assuring me that, Mama, you take care of yourself first there, because it's a new place. Here we are used to, we are at our home. So it was really, but at the corner, at one corner, I was very, very much guilty. Still date that haunts me. How I could leave my kids at the crucial time.
Exactly. You know, see, this is a big dilemma. I mean, I quite understand this would be any woman's dilemma. But what I want to point out is, was your husband feeling as guilty? You know, such a wonderful husband, he supported you, yes, but he had to go. Was he feeling as guilty? We take on too much guilt on ourselves. This is what I want to say all the time. We don't have to feel guilty. We don't have to feel responsible for everything in life.
But he made a point that he would visit every weekend. It was near Pune. The place was near Pune. So every weekend he used to come to home. Saturday, Sunday, he used to spend with kids and go. But
such a wonderful thing to empower your children, so much that I think more than anything else, it's hats off to the children who did without you and happily. And I'm sure they learn a very important life lesson in their own lives. Like
Yeah.
Christine said, it took her a long time getting over those, mental shackles that the mother had put in her. So can you imagine what a wonderful thing for children to happen? They do not have these shackles. Tomorrow, when they grow up in their lives, they will be more open and free people. They don't have to face the guilt.
Right. Right. But I'm so happy that my kids overcome all those things and now they are into their professions. My daughter is now a dentist. She is going undergoing her internship. My son is a CA. He's
Oh,
working in
wonderful.
Bangalore. So whatever I did, actually I did for them. I went for them. So, but still leaving them and
Jyotsna, no. This is, learn to do it for yourself. The moment you do it for somebody else, whether it's your children or your husband, it is a burden on them. The fact that you say that I did it for them, can you imagine the emotional burden that a child carries? Do it for yourself.
But never I mentioned them like that.
Yeah.
I went for them. Never I mentioned to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But women must learn to do things for themselves. But they are people after all. You are not supposed to be a person who's, doing everything for everybody else all the time. Of course, it's very nice to do it for the family, do it for everybody. But eventually, learn to do things for yourself, things that give you happiness.
Yeah, now I'm doing for myself.
Yes.
I had given up my job and I'm really happy that I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my satisfaction, my happiness. I'm doing for myself now.
Yes, sometimes, balancing is at one time. You are involved with profession, family, and self-aspiration. Sometimes you are, putting this balancing in a different perspective. Okay, these many years I devote totally to profession, these many years to my family, and then I will look after myself aspirations. A lot of people do that. They start learning, new arts and new crafts after a certain age because they're free to do all that. So this is all individual. But the fact is that somewhere that importance to yourself, as you got one life, so the importance to your life should be given. If you're happy looking after bringing up your children, just looking after your home, so be it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You don't have to be a working woman 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 to be happy. But if you're doing it because you're supposed to do it, that is where the guilt comes.
I'd like to say something if it's your permission, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I have started pursuing a hobby that is dance, and I'm the oldest in the batch. Me and my husband, we are learning jive, and this is something, it takes time to register because all younger ones are there, but we are not ashamed to do it,
Not at all, It's so wonderful. Not at all.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I would like to add on to it as you are saying balancing. So see, as I heard from Christine and Jyotsna ma'am, that they are lucky that they have a very cooperative husband. But many a times, most of the time, I would say that females, when a female gets married and however career oriented she is, that type of cooperation and support does not come from the new family where she is married. But if she knows how to balance everything, then yes, there is no end to it. Like I would just like to share my example. I was from a very extrovert modern family, married to a very introvert family, where I was not allowed to work. And then which led me to depression. Being a CA sitting at home, then I found a way out. Now, suppose if I have to, for my activities, if I had to reach out 7 o'clock in the morning, I used to get up at 4 o'clock. I used to balance as a daughter-in-law. I used to do all the course which was my responsibility. So I balanced my personal life along with my career, what I had dreamt of. And gradually, as time permitted, yes, I will not say it was on a very fast pace, but if you balance it the right way, So even if you have challenges in your life, you just need to balance, because being females, yes, we just cannot focus on our career, or we cannot say that we will not take care of the kids, or we will not take care of the house. No. And once you start balancing situations which does not fall right in place, but once you start getting achievements in your professional life, you will see automatically the personal life also gets balanced, and the acceptance also comes from within. I remember few of the courses, I used to pay for the courses, and in between I have to leave the courses and come out because of my responsibilities, that I was getting late, and so I had left many courses in between. But then I learned the process of balancing. Yes, if I have to do, I have to complete my responsibilities. So that is how, see, once we are born females, those who can balance everything, see, all of us are not lucky to have very supportive husband, I must say. So even if you all have supportive husband, yes, you had balanced your personal and professional life, which is very important. So I really like your topic, that see, however like we grow, we need to balance our personal life and as well as profession.
Rachna, very good. You've talked of the two pillars, your work and your professional life and your family life. I get a little worried about the third pillar, which is your self aspirations. It is, your self aspiration may not be just a career. See, for you studied so much, you wanted a career. A lot of women are forced into jobs because of need to work. It's a financial need to work. So that also becomes, a part of the responsibility. So in these two pillars, the third pillar is the one that suffers. What about the self of the woman? Somewhere that child, that girl in you dies over a period of time. And like you said, practically, I know it's very true. And what you've done is commendable. When you don't have a supportive family, it's very, very difficult to do it. But, somewhere down the line, you have made adjustments to your work and professional life. When you turn back, see, you're young today. When you turn back, when you're 60, 65, when you look back for yourself, that is the regret that happens. So take care of yourself also. What you take time out for your friends, take time out for, things that, even simple things like just going out for a movie with friends, just, enjoying your similar interests, joining a, club where you have similar interests. These kind of things, some little space should be put in for that, because that's the third pillar of your satisfaction.
Hi, I would like to say something.
Yes.
I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
All right. See, I liked everything what you told, but if I have to speak about my own personal experience, then what I would say is, whether it's a man or woman, you should know how to manage your time. Time management is the most important thing, because I'm talking of my personal experience. I've been able to achieve so many things only because I managed my time well. And I never neglected family also. I never neglected my work also. And I'm continuously learning. And that really opens up the, knowledge is like, it's not a property. Knowledge is something enlightenment. If we take it in that sense, yeah. I've been continuously learning. And last year, just to tell one small example, I wanted to do this ACTL diploma in public speaking from Trinity College of London for a very long time. But 21 years being head of the institution, I really did not get time because I had so many other aspirations to work on. So during COVID, when the COVID break and all, I said, why not give it a chance now? So last year I did my ACTL and I missed my, by 3 marks, I missed my distinction, but I don't regret. What a learning. So that way, like, women empowerment can happen only with time management, I would say. Then there is no question whether husband is supportive or not supportive, or we have a responsibility, we don't have responsibility. If you know to manage your time well, you can achieve whatever you want. That's what I would say. And
Definitely,
thank you, some of the points you discussed were really well.
Yeah, Rachna, in fact, just gave an example of time management. Yes, Anita.
Yeah, I would like to say, can I go ahead?
Please.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, when I want to say something about myself is like I'm sharing something very personal on this platform. Now, I come from a very, very conservative family, whether be it from my parents' side, maternal side, or even from my in-laws. Both of them are very, very conservative. So somehow today, what you see me, this is not the same Anita. 10 years ago or 15 years ago, this was not that Anita. Today, I am, way beyond, and I've really, motivated myself. I've come up in life. But 15 years back, it was totally very different, Anita. I was totally ruled upon, be it my father or be it even my in-laws, not allowed to pursue much of education, not allowed to go to work. I mean, when I came to my in-laws place, and my husband, I mean, they are also brought up in such a way that, they are not supposed to speak against their parents.
Yes.
So, and it was termed as, the word given was, it is respect to parents.
Yes.
So I was like totally demotivated. And I felt that what am I doing? I'm just messing my life. Somewhere I felt that I'm just getting, I'm just getting depressed. I'm a graduate. I did some few courses, but still I wanted to be a banker and I wanted to pursue and, get into the bank. I wasn't allowed to do that. Then I opted for, okay, at last, it was not by choice, but it was by force that I ended up being a teacher, because I could go, I could be with my children, come back with my children. So the hours were suiting and, I could come back. So a lot of things happened, and that also was not accepted by my in-laws. And every time there was always chaos, and, they used to like literally blame me for everything. And initially when I wanted to work and be as a banker also, like I requested them that, I have a wonderful offer with Citibank. Can I go ahead with that? And they said, no, we cannot take care of your children. So these were some statements which really hurt me to the core. And I felt, and then my husband is there, but he's unable to speak anything. He's a very nice man. I wouldn't blame him. But at the same time, that, giving a term, saying it is respect, if we cannot speak against our parents, that is not the way, one actually deals. You need to balance, whether it's what I come to say over here is, whether you're a wife or whether you're a husband, you need to balance your personal and your professional life.
Exactly.
And and it so happened that I then almost went into a very rebel sort of an attitude. Not that I used to actually literally, abuse or, shout at them or, get angry at them. No, but then I somehow started, feeling that no, if I am, dumped like this, I will always be dumped. I can never then rise above. So I said, okay, now I need to really work upon myself. And okay, if I'm not a banker today, let me be as a teacher, but let me go ahead in life. And whatever they say, I will hear it from one ear, leave it up from the other ear, but will do what I want. At the same time, I will finish up with all my household chores so that there is nobody to speak, something against me or, criticize me. So this is how I started. And then slowly I used to finish all my chores. I, ended up being a teacher, full-time teacher, everything worked very well, earned very good name, everything I did. At the same time, then later I upgraded myself as a spoken English trainer, worked for certain classes, and I'm still with them. So I am doing it well now. I'm really doing it well. So I really feel very proud about myself, what I wanted to be and what I couldn't be. But I ended up being something else. But yes, in that also, I am quite successful. And today, now, my husband, I did have that regret of not being a banker, but I somehow made in my way, somewhere. I didn't want to be just a homemaker and, 24 hours, just serving and being a homemaker and being, looking after kids and being in the kitchen. Today, okay, fine. Yes, initially I felt, I was in a rebel mode, but things are accepted. And now, now my mother-in-law, especially a very dominant personality she is. So even today she is like that. But yes, things have changed now slowly. Then I went into a lot of, positive thinking, getting into a lot of courses into that, actually really working upon myself as well. And today, yes, with a lot of love, I have actually, won upon her as well. So
You have
I think,
every reason to be proud of, Anita, really, really very commendable. And, this is what women face, a lot of these challenges. And, especially in India, these are very common challenges that women face. But very few.
That is what Aradhana, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. Aradhana ma'am, what Anita ma'am said is like she was not allowed to work, being married into a conservative family. So at times, when we balance everything, time management, we know how to do time management.
Yeah.
But we have to create a situation where what we aspire to do, we are able to do. You
Yeah.
know, when I used to see my grandmom, I used to feel she was not educated, and what she is doing, even after doing CA, I'm just sitting at home and not doing anything apart from the household chores. So that is what time management. Yes, we all can handle, but the thing is, we have to step out. We need to start doing something. Then only time management, balancing of work and family comes.
Exactly.
So,
Ma'am,
So,
along with
Aradhana
time
ma'am, so
management, I would like to
uh,
add a point. Sorry.
yeah, can I come in for a minute and
Yeah,
I
sure.
will go to. So,
Sure.
Aradhana ma'am, you have put up all your points very well, and I heard others also speaking about that. I will just add one thing. I personally believe, see, every person has a different story, every person has a different struggle. But many things begins from our mind. How strong are we mentally? Then comes physically. First, mental strength is very important. If it's not about male or female, if we know how to maintain the wheel of well-being, I mean, there are different ways of smartness. Are we body smart? That means are we active, or we are always thinking negative, and then we are letting our body affect that. So, or our body is getting affected because of that negative thought. So we need to be body active. Second is, are we mind active? When we are mind active, we keep on learning, keep on learning, keep on learning. Because the more we learn, the more the path becomes clearer and clearer for us. At the same time, like how Anita said, now her mother-in-law accepted everything. So do we have the spirit of giving? Many of the times we feel that we need this. And in the rat race of we need this, and this, we sometimes forget the spirit of giving. Then comes how connected are we with the people? Because we are in our own echo chamber of so much of negativity, because we are not able to aspire, or we are not able to fulfill our dream. We forget that connection. It is very important, however depressed we are, however negative we are feeling, that connection need not to be lost, because that is where a new learning will start. Then for me, it is very important to take notice of the place. When I say take notice of the place, it might be a small stingy place where you're staying, it might be the lavish thing where you're staying, but there is always a thing which you need to keep an eye on. Maybe you are the one who will uh, let not happen an accident, because you are more observant than anyone else. When you become observant, you become more caring. And for me, last but not least, is the care that you give. Do not only for your family, extended family, for everyone. Present yourself as a person who is giving care to this entire world, to the entire planet. And that's my wheel of well-being. Do we maintain it inside us? If we do that, then the path becomes easy for us. Though I know struggle is everywhere. And trust me, when it comes to women, every woman has a story and every story is unique. But at the same time, every man has a story and every story is unique. So rather than women and men, I always believe in something called human empowerment. We have to be a strong support to each other. The condition of women today is only because of women. Men has less role to play. That is what I personally feel. Isn't there a mother-in-law if the daughter-in-law is killed? It's not just the husband. Mother-in-law is also there. So a woman is always there. So let's work together. Do not divide the society as men and women. Let's work on human development. And if we do it together, I think then only we can progress and we can come out of our shell. And believe me, metamorphosis happens with everyone. It happened with Anita. It happened with Rashna. It will happen with everyone. It might take time, but it will happen. Do not give up. That's all. Thank you so much.
Very good, Seema. Very nicely. My thing was not about this balancing is not about men or women. Only women face greater challenges because of our conditioning. It is not that the men are bad and the women are not, or whatever. But we are conditioned to certain thoughts, and that conditioning of our mind has to go. That is how we grow and we learn. I mean, after all, we in our generation are much better enlightened in these respects than what our mothers and grandmothers were. So, and our children are much more enlightened. So this is a process we are going through in society, which I'm sure, gradually things will improve. And it's not just, of course, balancing has to be there in every person's life. Unless your life is balanced, it cannot continue. But for women, the challenges are a little greater because, like you heard Rachna, you heard Anita, this allowed to. Men don't have these kind of things because of conditioning of society. There's nothing wrong with the male sex or the female sex. It is our society which has conditioned our brains to thinking, to be obliged if you're allowed to be unhappy if you're not allowed to. So when will the allowing come to us from inside? And these women, these strong women, Rachna, Anita, and these people have faced challenges, and they have made their own selves rise above the social conditioning, which is, I think, very, very commendable. So with that, I think it's been a lovely session, and thank you so much for so much of interaction. And these forums always good when we share our personal views or our personal stories. We it's a catharsis. I think when we put it into words, we react to things better. There are so many things we have thought inside, but unless they come out into words, they are not consciously thought of. So these forums always give a very nice feeling of conscious thinking. So thank you very much, Rachna. If you have the time, you can discuss more. I'm not very sure. I think it's pretty late.
Thank you so much, Aradhana ma'am. Now I would request Jyotsna ma'am to give us a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rachna ma'am. Thank you, Aradhana ma'am, for a wonderful session. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on behalf of Team Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. First and foremost, I thank God who has designed and refreshed our souls with a sweet stream of blessings. I extend heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, Ms. Aradhana Rana ma'am, for sparing her invaluable time and enlightening us with her commendable talk and very interactive session. I thank everyone for their active participation in this session. Last but not the least, I extend my gratitude to Dr. Seema Negi ma'am and Mrs. Rachna Bhimrajika ma'am for organizing such valuable sessions and also giving me an opportunity to moderate this session. I would like to end with few lines. Imagine life as a game in which you are juggling some 5 balls in the air. You name them: work, family, health, friends, and spirit. And you are keeping all of these in the air. You'll soon understand that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will bounce back. But the other 4 balls, family, health, friends, and spirit, are made of glass. If you drop one of these, they will be irrevocably scuffed, marked, nicked, damaged, or even shattered. They will never be the same. One must understand that and strive for balance in their life. So with this, thank you so much. Thank you, Rachna ma'am, Seema ma'am, and Aradhana ma'am, and everyone here. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you very much, Jyotsna. Very well worded. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Aradhana ma'am, you can end the meeting because
Okay.
you are the host.